Have you ever wondered why challenges and unexpected struggles come into your life? Are they simply unfair twists of fate, or could there be a deeper meaning hidden within them? The Buddha taught that nothing in this life happens by accident. Every experience, whether joy or sorrow, is part of a greater unfolding, a lesson that helps us grow, awaken, and move closer to true understanding. In this video, we will explore 5 powerful insights from Buddhist wisdom that show us everything happens for a reason. And when we see life through this lens, even our hardest moments can become a source of peace, strength, and transformation. Peace, strength, and transformation. Lesson 1. Every experience has meaning. The Buddha often reminded us that nothing in life is wasted. Every event, every encounter, and every challenge carries a seed of meaning. Even when we cannot see it in the moment, each experience is shaping us, teaching us, and guiding us toward greater wisdom. Suffering in particular is not without purpose. The Buddha taught that suffering is one of the 4 noble truths, the first truth of human existence, but he did not present it as a punishment. Instead, he showed that through suffering we become aware, we grow, and we develop compassion. Pain can break open the heart, allowing us to connect more deeply with ourselves and with others. Imagine a small cup of water with a handful of salt. The water becomes undrinkable, too bitter to taste. But pour that same handful of salt into a vast river, and its presence hardly matters at all. In the same way, when our hearts are narrow, even small difficulties overwhelm us. But when our hearts expand, when our mind grows spacious, even heavy sorrows lose their power. The teaching here is clear. The pain does not change, but the capacity of our heart can grow endlessly. This means that difficulties are not here to destroy us. They are here to help us expand, to open, and to discover a resilience we did not know we had. When we look back at our own lives, many of us can see this truth. The moments that tested us, the moments that brought us to our knees, are often the very moments that shaped us into who we are today. The Buddha's wisdom encourages us to shift our perspective. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift turns suffering into a teacher. It transforms hardship into a stepping stone. It allows us to see that every experience, even the painful ones, carries meaning. And when we hold this view, our life changes. We stop fighting against what is. We learn to open, to breathe, and to let each experience move through us. Over time, we discover a quiet strength and a deeper compassion for others who also suffer. So remember, nothing is meaningless. Every joy, every sorrow, every twist of fate is part of a greater unfolding. When you allow your heart to expand, you will see that even pain can be the soil where wisdom and compassion grow. Lesson 2. Pressure creates diamonds. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that life's pressure is never without purpose. What feels like unbearable weight today may, in truth, be the very force that awakens your hidden strength. Think of a simple piece of coal. On the surface, it looks ordinary, dark, fragile, even worthless. Yet, when exposed to unimaginable pressure and heat for thousands of years, that same coal transforms into a diamond, radiant, unshakable and beyond price. Your life works in the same way. The trials, the heartbreaks, the disappointments, they are not punishments. They are the pressure of transformation. Without pressure, there can be no diamond. Without challenge, there can be no strength. The Buddha often used vivid metaphors to teach this truth. One famous story tells of a disciple who brought his suffering to his master. The master gave him a handful of salt and asked him to dissolve it in a glass of water. The disciple tasted it, far too bitter to drink. Then the master told him to throw the same salt into a lake. The water tasted pure, and the master said, "Suffering is like the salt. The bitterness does not change. What changes is the container you hold it in. If your heart is small, your pain consumes you. If your heart expands, the same pain becomes almost invisible." This story and the image of the diamond speak the same truth. Pressure does not vanish. Suffering does not disappear. But when our perspective expands, when our spirit grows, what once felt unbearable becomes fuel for awakening. The weight that seemed to crush you is the same weight that shapes you. Think of the hardest times in your life. Maybe you lost someone you loved. Maybe you failed when everything was at stake. Maybe you stood at the edge of despair. In those moments, you might have believed the pain would destroy you. But now, looking back, you can see those very moments forced you to grow. They carved resilience into your soul. They uncovered a patience, a wisdom, a compassion you might never have known. Lesson 3. Dharma. Trust in the greater order. Life often feels like a series of random events. Joy appears out of nowhere, and pain strikes without warning. Yet Buddhist wisdom reveals a deeper truth. Nothing happens by accident. The universe is not chaotic but exquisitely ordered. Every moment is the unfolding of causes we once set in motion. This is the law of Dharma, the unseen current that connects every cause to its effect. Think of your mind as a fertile field. Every thought, emotion, and action plants a seed. Seeds of patience, kindness, and compassion bear fruits of peace and joy. Seeds of anger or resentment grow into pain and conflict. This is not superstition but natural law. You cannot plant rice and expect to harvest wheat. Likewise, you cannot sow hatred and reap harmony. Imagine a moment of anger, harsh words, a slammed door, a flash of heat in the chest. That moment doesn't vanish. It releases energy into the world. It touches others, shapes relationships, and leaves an imprint on your own heart. One burst of anger plants a seed that, in time, will ripen into more suffering. The Buddha said, "We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think." Every thought is creative. Every intention has weight. Life is not punishing you. It is mirroring you. When pain arises, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What seed is this the fruit of?" The illness, betrayal, or loss you face is not a curse. It's the natural harvest of past energy, some planted long ago, perhaps even before memory. This truth is both humbling and liberating. Humbling because we see that no one escapes the consequences of their actions. Liberating because we realize we are never powerless. If the past built the present, then the present is building the future. Every mindful choice today plants a new possibility for tomorrow. Someone who practices compassion daily is constantly sowing peace. They may not see results right away, but slowly those seeds bloom into calm relationships, clarity of mind, and a heart that radiates ease. In contrast, one who clings to anger plants seeds of isolation and conflict. The harvest may be delayed, but it is certain. Dharma is like a river. Resist it, and you struggle against the current. Move with it, and it carries you effortlessly forward. Awareness is your oar. Each moment you pause before reacting, each breath you take before speaking, each act of patience instead of anger, these are strokes that steer you back into harmony. So ask yourself, what seeds am I planting right now? Is this thought bringing peace or pain? Is this action rooted in fear or in love? Every moment offers a chance to plant anew. Life is not random, it is precise and just. The joy you feel today is the flower of yesterday's kindness. The suffering you face is the harvest of forgotten ignorance. And the future waiting ahead will bloom from what you nurture now. Trust the greater order. The universe is not punishing you. It is responding to you. Dharma is not merely a cosmic rule. It is an invitation to live with awareness, to plant with care, and to walk knowing that nothing is wasted, nothing is random, and every seed will, without fail, find its harvest. Lesson 4. Letting go of control to find peace. After understanding Dharma, that every seed brings its fruit, it becomes clear why we must learn the art of letting go. Many of our struggles come not from life itself, but from our desperate attempt to control what cannot be controlled. We cling, we resist, we demand that the river of life flow according to our will. Yet the river has its own current, and the more we fight it, the more we suffer. The Buddha often compared life to a flowing stream. You cannot hold back the water, no matter how strong your arms are. You cannot command the river to flow slower or faster, or to avoid the stones along its path. All you can do is learn to move with it. When you let go of control and align yourself with the flow, the same current that once frightened you begins to carry you forward with ease. Think about how much energy we lose trying to control outcomes, trying to control people, circumstances, even the unfolding of tomorrow. The truth is, control is an illusion. We cannot dictate the seasons. We cannot stop change. We cannot shield ourselves from uncertainty. What we can do is choose how we respond moment by moment. We can act with wisdom and compassion, but we must release the demand that life bend to our expectations. Letting go does not mean weakness or passivity. It means trust. Trust that the Dharma is guiding the river. Trust that every twist and turn has its purpose. Trust that even when the water seems rough, it is still moving you toward growth. When you loosen your grip, you free yourself from exhaustion and anxiety. You discover peace not by controlling the current, but by surrendering to it with awareness. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. We suffer not because life is painful, but because we cling to how we think life should be. By releasing control, we loosen the knot of attachment. We make space for acceptance, for clarity, and for freedom. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to so tightly that it's draining my peace? What would happen if I released the need to control and simply trusted the flow? Because in the end, serenity is not found in mastering the river, but in learning to float. Lesson 5. Peace in the unexpected life is full of surprises. Some bring joy, an opportunity, a friendship, a moment of beauty we never planned. Others bring pain, loss, disappointment, sudden change. The Buddha reminded us that impermanence is the very nature of existence. Nothing lasts forever, and within this truth lies a gift. Uncertainty is not our enemy. It is the space where infinite possibilities are born. When we cling to certainty, we confine ourselves. We fear the unknown. We try to predict and control, but in doing so, we shrink the vastness of life. The unexpected, however, opens doors we could never have imagined. A setback today might lead to a greater path tomorrow. A loss might carve space for deeper love. Even the storms can reveal new horizons once the clouds clear. Peace, then, does not come from eliminating uncertainty. It comes from embracing it. To live fully is to meet each moment without demanding that it be different, but to welcome it as it is. When you hold life lightly, every surprise becomes an invitation, not a threat. You learn to trust that, even in the unknown, the Dharma is at work, guiding you toward growth. The Buddha taught, "Nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. Being is always becoming." When we accept this, fear softens. The unexpected no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes a teacher, showing us that life is not meant to be controlled, but experienced with openness and grace. So when tomorrow brings what you did not plan, breathe. Remember that impermanence is not a curse. It is what makes life alive. Let's reflect on the 5 pillars we have explored. 1. Every experience has meaning. Even pain carries wisdom when seen through a larger heart. 2. Pressure creates diamonds. Challenges are not punishments. They are forces of transformation. 3rd Dharma reveals order. Every seed you plant, through thought or action, will find its fruit. 4. Letting go brings peace. Control is an illusion. Surrender brings freedom. 5. Peace in the unexpected. Uncertainty is not chaos, but the birthplace of possibility. These are not abstract ideas. They are practical truths you can carry into your daily life. They remind us that life is not against us. It is shaping us, teaching us, guiding us. Now I'd love to hear from you. Among these 5 lessons, which one touched you most deeply? Which truth do you feel ready to carry into your journey? Share it in the comments, because your reflection might be the light someone else needs. And if this video brought you value, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring together. Because in the end, everything that happens, every joy, every trial, every surprise, can be the very step that leads you closer to peace.